Guys, can we take a moment to just kind of appreciate how savage and how disrespectful Trae was throughout the entire NBA playoffs? Now, look, we've seen players be savage and disrespectful to opponents before, opponents and fans, but for some reason, Trae Young just kind of took things to another level in these NBA playoffs. You guys want to know what's really crazy? Trae Young wasn't even considered an All-Star this season. Trae Young did not play in the All-Star game. In what world does that make any sense? Trae Young averaged 25 points and 9 assists this season and was not considered an NBA All-Star. Just like most NBA awards and accolades, I'm not sure what the full criteria is to be selected for an NBA All-Star. I know they have the voting and all that stuff, so it's like subjective to an extent. But look, whatever it is, I know Trae Young fit the criteria. Hey man, Trae Young's shimmy had the Bucks so tight that Giannis hit the huddle, shimmied himself, and was like, yo guys, we cannot let this guy do this to us. Trae Young's explanation of the shimmy was pretty cash also.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of time. And I was kind of tired a little bit, so I got a little second to get a deep breath and knock it down.
Guys, I kind of just love Trae Young and his confidence. When you consider how many people hated on Trae Young coming into the NBA before he was even given a chance, it's hard not to be happy for his success. I feel like NBA fans overreact far too often. Look, I know recency bias is a real thing, but it feels like the NBA takes recency bias to an entirely new level. People really thought Trae Young wasn't going to be that guy because, check me out, he was struggling in the NBA Summer League. Not the NBA preseason, not the NBA regular season, but because he was struggling in the NBA Summer League. I've seen guys, role players, guys that I don't want to say don't make an NBA roster, but guys that just don't go on to be great NBA players absolutely tear up the NBA Summer League, only to be brought down to earth during the regular season. The NBA Summer League is great for a lot of things, but sometimes people have to remember that the NBA Summer League is exactly that. It is the NBA Summer League. Now, I know I haven't been uploading as much this past week as I normally do, and there is a very logical explanation for that. I actually tore my Achilles on Thursday. Real stuff, guys. I tore it hooping, and when I tore it, I knew exactly what happened because I made videos on DeMarcus Cousins and Kevin Durant tearing their Achilles. So when it happened, I was just kind of like, bro, no. You kind of hear this loud pop. You think somebody steps on the back of your ankle or your foot, and you turn around, nobody's there, and you're like, dang, man, torn Achilles. So yeah, it sucked, but I'm doing a lot better now. I'm going to have way more free time, so I'm going to be uploading more videos. I want you guys to be prepared for that. So be sure to subscribe right now, turn notifications on. You will not want to miss another Get Like Coop video. And that's facts. Me, the Flight Mike Korzimba, all started a podcast named Laced Up. We talk hoops, IRL, a little bit of everything, and there's a ton of funny moments surrounding the podcast. The link to Laced Up is going to be down in the description below. Be sure to check it out. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk hoops. Now look, I know I started this video off talking about Trae Young heavy. Well, you guys just have to understand, Trae Young is my guy. If Trae Young hoops, I'm going to give him props. Well, also, the Atlanta Hawks deserve their props because Trae Young isn't the only person, isn't the only one that's came a long way. The Atlanta Hawks coming into this NBA playoffs had a lot to prove. They entered the playoffs as a 5 seed. At 41-31, they had the same record as their first round opponent, the New York Knicks, who many people, including myself, weren't sure the Atlanta Hawks would get by. But you see me, I don't even want to start this Hawks discussion at the NBA playoffs. I want to take things back. December 9th, 2019, it was reported that Trae Young was involved in an emotional locker room scene after a Hawks loss. Now, at this time, it was clear to me that the Hawks weren't going to lose Trae Young, but that the losing was starting to get to Trae Young. Honestly, this situation kind of reminds me of what's going on with Zion in New Orleans, but right now there's one major difference, and that's that the Hawks made things happen. After this emotional scene, one high-ranking Hawks executive said that the team would be getting him some help on the roster soon. Since this quote dropped, the Hawks have made a ton of savvy moves, like going out and getting one of the best rim protectors in the league, Clint Capella. To this day, the acquisition of Clint Capella is crazy underrated. The Rockets got this idea that they were better without Capella. I guess win streaks will do that. In Houston, Clint Capella made a name for himself, finishing around the basket, being a high-level lob target, blocking shots, grabbing a ton of rebounds. Pretty much everything that Capella was great at, the Hawks needed bad. While the Hawks already had John Collins, at this time, John Collins was not a defensive anchor. Not only would the Hawks go out and get Capella, but they also made the great decision to trade up in the 2019 NBA draft to go ahead and draft DeAndre Hunter. Already in his first few seasons, DeAndre Hunter looks like somebody that's going to be an impact player for a very long time. What I love most about Hunter is he's 6'8", 6'9", with the giant shot-making upside. But most importantly, he's a 6'8", 6'9" guy that can go on the defensive side of the basketball. In that same draft, the Atlanta Hawks would get another 6'8", 6'9" guy with monstrous upside who has great two-way potential. We saw some of that great potential in these NBA playoffs. July 3rd, Cam Reddish became the second 21-year-old to make 6 3-point field goals in a conference finals game, joining Kobe Bryant, who did it all the way back in 2000. With the 8th pick in 2019, I wanted the New Orleans Pelicans to draft Cam Reddish. They got Jackson Hayes, so I'm really not too mad. But man, Cam looks different, and if you go back to his Duke stats, he's a prime example of statistics not telling the full story. Watching a stat sheet is cool and all that, but sometimes that's just don't tell you the full story. Nate McMillan says he sees a lot of Paul George in Cam Reddish. Paul has been a super popular comparison for Cam's game, and if you watch him, you'd understand why. While we're speaking on Nate McMillan took this team over when they were 14-20 and in 11th place. Earlier this season, there were rumblings that Trae Young and John Collins were not getting along. To just say that this team had to overcome a lot is not telling the full story. While I'm a firm believer of winning cures everything, I think the Atlanta Hawks have an interesting decision to make with John Collins coming up this offseason. John Collins is going to be a restricted free agent. There's a great chance that John Collins is getting a super bag. I kind of can't believe how slept on Collins' talent actually is. Last season, he shot 58% from the field and gave you 40% from the three-point line, while shooting free throws at 80% and averaging 22 points per game. If he was the focal point of an offense, he would go off. If you guys were the Atlanta Hawks, what would you do with John Collins? Keep in mind, Onyeka has been showing some major flashes and versatility too. I mean, they drafted this man with the 4th pick in last year's NBA draft, so it's safe to say they got a lot of confidence in him. Oh, and let's take a quick moment to appreciate the Lou Will trade and how big Kevin Huerter's been all playoffs. If you ask me, I think the Atlanta Hawks have a lot of good problems. I mean, even getting Gallo is big. I like the Hawks' idea of getting 6'8", 6'9" wings that can defend but also have upside to go alongside your point guard, who is not the best defender on the planet, unless you ask Giannis. Hey man, Trae's heart is so big, bro. That's a franchise player for real. The Hawks upset the Knicks. They took out the 1 seed Philadelphia 76ers. And if both teams were fully healthy, who knows what happens in the Milwaukee Bucks series. I mean, seriously, this has to be one of the most unlucky injuries of all time. In the comments below, let me know who you guys think would have won the series if both teams were healthy. I think it's safe to say that the Atlanta Hawks completely changed the way that everybody is going to view them going forward. What do you guys think the Hawks' next move should be? Should they go out and try to get a star, or maybe just run things back? I mean, after all, continuity does go a very long way. Where do you guys have this team finishing in the Eastern Conference next season? Can you guys see top 3? Is Trae Young officially a superstar right now? This quote from the Atlanta Hawks owner is kind of crazy. I'm not sure we're going to be able to keep every single player that we want to keep. Pretty good bet, pretty good assumption that we will not. Uh-oh guys, potential trouble in Atlanta? Maybe not, but hey, tough quote or not, that quote is likely the truth. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.